And so when I come across something like that, that's easy for me to then give to the client as a tool. So I find that tools are only good if it's something that a client can wrap their brain around and do on their own.
Hey, and welcome to the Speak Organized podcast. I'm your host, Melanie Summers, professional organizer, ADHD organizing specialist, and your go-to gal for all things pro organizing business. I like to speak organized to give you the tools to conquer your clutter, live life with more purpose, and learn all about the business of tidying. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, go ahead and pull out your device and tap that subscribe button so that you become a member of the Speaker fam. And as you get value out of today's episode and you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and tap the notification bell so that you're notified whenever we post new content every single week. And if you're an Apple Podcast user, you can go ahead and leave us a rave 5-star review, which helps boost our ratings and helps the channel grow so that we can reach more amazing people just like you looking to get into the professional organizing industry. And I want you to join us in the free Facebook community, the I Speak Organized Professional Organizers Network. If you have questions and you're just looking for some of that genuine connection and you need to get some advice, that's the perfect place to be. The information to join that group is going to be down in the description of the video and the podcast show notes.
The main mission here at I Speak Organized is to give you the best quality tools and resources to level up your business and have a truly successful 6 or 7-figure business that doesn't suck away all of your time. So if you're brand new to all of this and it seems very overwhelming, you don't really know where to start, you have come to the right place. I am your go-to gal for all things pro organizing business. If you're afraid that you aren't enough, like you don't have enough experience or you don't really have the goods to bring to the table to charge what other people charge or whatever story you happen to be telling yourself, I am here to help you understand that you can be exceptional with the right tools and training. So in just a few minutes, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about how I can help you with that. But in the meantime, let's get into this juicy interview. What's up, Speaker fam? I am so pleased to be joined by my friend Amy. She is from Amazing Spaces and she is in Florida. And I just have to give you a huge shout out and say thank you for being here, considering that we're filming at this time in the middle of October, beginning middle of October, and you guys are facing a pretty intense hurricane situation coming up here. So thank you for taking the time. And, I just wanted to send out thoughts and prayers to keep you safe.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me be here. I'm so excited.
Yes, it's going to be super fun. We're going to dive in. And I love to ask this question to all of my guests. This is one of the most fascinating parts about interviewing professional organizers is figuring out what everybody's background is, because everybody has such a rich, diverse background, and we all come from such different places. So I know that you came from the nonprofit world, which obviously is quite different from organizing. So how did that experience shape your approach to your business, and what got you into wanting to organize spaces professionally?
Right. Exactly like you said, everything that we do in life builds to the next thing, right? So I was in nonprofit for 20 years, and I mostly worked in my local community doing family engagement. And in that role, I obviously was working with families with young kids. I also had a very strong social media presence with that engagement role. I also did a lot of speaking publicly in my community. So all of those experiences, I then was able to transfer to what I'm doing now as a professional organizer. So I'm sure like most professional organizers, I've always loved organizing. As a hobby growing up, that's what I would do. I would play with lining up my shoes in my closet instead of playing with Barbie dolls. Like that was my thing. Mm-hmm. So when I found myself in my career wanting to make a change, that's kind of, you always ask yourself, what do you love to do, right? If you could do what you love, what would it be? And I do have a business background. I have a degree in marketing. That also served me well. And so it's really fascinating because different organizers do organizing differently, right? Mm-hmm. And they bring their talents to their profession. And so that's kind of how that all morphed and happened. It happened during the time that we were home during the pandemic, and I had time for reflection. It happened at a time where my family was transitioning themselves, and I had 2 kids who were ready to go to college. And I found myself, asking, if I'm ever going to do something, when's it going to be? And it was the right time. It was the right time.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just know that. I think people are like, oh, you're never prepared. It's never the right time for this or that. Like, no, sometimes everything falls into place, and what a beautiful way to transition. So let me ask you this, because this is a big question that a lot of aspiring professionals have. This is kind of, they're dipping their toe in the water. They are testing it out, maybe as a side hustle, just to see if it's something that's viable. Maybe they just don't know. So obviously, this is something that you eventually went full time. So what was that moment or the catalyst for you that you were like, this is it, I'm going all in? Like, how did that trajectory work for you?
So for me, and the way that I did it, and I know that a lot of people do it in different ways, either trying it out or doing it part-time or as a hobby. For me, and like total Virgo, kind of nature, I really was very planful. I actually took an entire year while I was still working full-time to set up my business. Weekends, evenings, when I had time outside of my full-time job, I was doing the business license and talking to attorneys and doing all the research and taking all the courses and going on the NAPO site. I was doing all of that ahead of time. And then I did a lot of beta testing. I asked my friends and family who I had done organizing for before to be my guinea pigs. And I'm like, I want to try out my process. I want to try out my forms. I want to try out my platform and my billing. Will you be my guinea pig? Right? Will you be my guinea pig? And may I use before and after photos for my website, for my social media? So I was doing all of that before I even made the transition and fully launched my business. So that was just my process. That's what worked for me. I know everybody does it differently, but that's what I did. And I loved it. It was really a helpful process, to be honest with you.
It is. Yeah. I'm glad that you point that out. And because I've had guests come and answer this question saying, I had savings, I quit my job, and I had no choice. Like, I had to just dive in head first and just kind of like, find a buoy or somebody throw me a rope, and I'm just kind of like trying to make it happen. Exactly. Sink or swim. Perfect. Yes. To fit with that analogy. And then I've had other folks that sort of did it part-time for a very long time, working in the business versus on it. So you actually are one of the first people that has come to me talking about this approach that's more highly structured. And I love it because the key thing that I want to point out here is that you spent a whole year doing this. And I was just and I was on a coaching call with a client earlier today who's just feeling very overwhelmed, taking in everything all at once, like has the fire hose in her face, basically, of all the different things that have to be in place. And we were talking about the fact that you just need to sometimes slow yourself down and take it one piece at a time, and setting up that business back end so that you have those systems in place to support you so that you can do the thing that you want to actually do, which is organizing, right? Is very helpful. So I love that you brought that up.
It just created a framework, right? And I also had a mentor through NAPO. So that check-in, that weekly check-in helped me move along all the different to-do lists and all the different pockets, right? So my own personal development and training pocket, the setting up of the business pocket, all of those different things, the networking pocket, right? So for me, and obviously I'm highly structured individual. That's how I was comfortable. I wasn't going to be comfortable leaving something that I loved, that was very full-time, that was, I worked really hard for. I wasn't comfortable leaving that until I had this set up to a certain degree. I mean, trial and error, of course. Are you going to learn along the way? Of course. I'm 2 years in it, and what I know now is so much more than I knew then. But for me, that was how I had to do it. And I'm really lucky I had wonderful support along the way, and I also had a family that was supporting me in this decision because it affects them as well, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the most important takeaway about that isn't necessarily how you did it, although I like to point that out, but it is the fact that you got really in tune with and in touch with how you personally function best in figuring your business out. Because that was very different, again, from how I started my business. I wish that I had gone a more structured approach instead of, I'm a very much like a quick action taker. I'm a spaghetti tester. I love to just throw things at the wall and see what sticks. And then, eventually come out on the other side with a more refined process. But that can drive a lot of people crazy. That would not have worked for you, like all these different things. So it's important, I think, at the end of this piece of it to say, you knew exactly what was going to work for you. You thought very intentionally about it and you went after it with a clear head. That's great.
100% know yourself.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Let's segue. This is awesome. I love this. Okay. So your approach to organizing is one of my favorites. And I wouldn't necessarily classify it as a niche, but it is kind of a niche in terms of how you speak about your business. You are very passionate about the life stage approach. So helping people through life transitions. And it goes beyond, some people specialize in certain life transitions like seniors and downsizing and things like that. But you actually you take the approach across all walks of life, all different phases. Upsizing is a thing, when you're expanding your family and things like that, becoming a parent, an empty nester, all these different life transitions that people experience. So can you just walk us through that approach for somebody who may resonate with that for their own business journey?
Sure. And, now that we've talked a little bit about my origin, two things from that. Number one, I worked for 20 years with families, right? So that was my experience. All different kinds of families, all different socioeconomic, very diverse. So, I had that to bring to the table. And then the second part, if you recall, I said for me, myself and my own family, my kids had grown and were going away to college, right? So I myself was entering, I hate empty nesting as a term. I like to say it open door era, where it's just an open door era and they're in and they're out and we have freedom to be in and out. But I myself was reaching that stage. So I had that experience in myself, that experience of being newlyweds and living together, then getting married, transitioning from married to first baby, what that looks like, then adding a second child, which, 1 is 1 and 2 is 20. I mean, all of those experiences helped me really hone in on, like you said, like that niche of helping clients at all of these turning points, which most people don't even realize are happening, right? They know they're struggling in their home. They know that things are chaotic. They'll say that there's clutter. They'll say that things aren't working, but they can't put their finger on it, right? But really what it is that how things are set up are not set up for the stage of life that they are in. That is all. And once you realize that and you have conversations about what is your stage of life, what is the daily routine, what is the dynamic, how has that changed from a year ago, how will that change a year from now, then you can really pinpoint the trouble spots, right? Yeah. And there are many of them. So that's kind of how those things from my own personal experience and my professional experience translated into this work as a professional organizer. And I think every professional organizer, deals with, everybody's stage. I'm here in South Florida. It's a lot of people who are moving here from other places and a lot of people of a certain age moving here. Like you said, I hate downsizing. I like to say right sizing, right? I like to put a positive spin on things. So, they're finding the right size for their new life in a certain stage of life. And it's scary and it's daunting. And, you come from and we're going to talk more about this, but you come from somewhere and you're coming from a 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 square foot home. And now you're coming to a small 1,500 square foot villa, right? Or you're a young family, like you said, growing, and you're expanding and all that's doing is just expanding your chaos, right?
100%. Oh my gosh. Which kind of leads me into the next question. So I want to unpack the life transition aspect a little bit and kind of dig into one of your core philosophies that you refer to as flexing out a space.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, as you've pointed out and introduced it to the fact that we're not always aware that the life transition is the reason why we're experiencing the chaos. We're not organized according to having a growing family. You know, once the person you are as a mom, and I remember this shift in my own life distinctly from pre-kids, Melanie, to having children. My home needed serious overhaul, and my routines and my mindset, like everything needed to change. I essentially became a completely different person than I was pre-kids, right? And, you know, it's something that having the right organizational philosophy and systems in place can make or break how those days of child rearing go for you. It really is that transformational in that important, right? So you have a concept called flexing out spaces. So how do you guide clients through this process? Can you walk us through what flexing out means and how it meets clients' needs?
Right. So typically, you know, as an organizer, a client will contact you and you will ask them, you know, what space do you want to work on? What room? Is it your pantry? Is it your kitchen? Is it your bedroom? And they'll identify a space, right, that they say is cluttered or disorganized. But really what needs to be looked at, this is why I insist on doing in-person consultations in the client space before we even start, is because every space in a home is connected. So while the client may say, my kid's bedroom is a mess, really and truly what's connected to that is every space that leads to the kid's bedroom, how the kid enters the room, either through the front door, through the garage, comes down the hallway. All of those spaces are leading to that bedroom, right? So it's how do we think about the function of the spaces? So is that kid doing homework in his bedroom? Do you want him to do homework in the bedroom? Is that working? Is it not working? If so, and you need your eyes on them and they need you, their accountability next to them, where does that make sense? So are you flexing out a corner of your kitchen where you are, or where, you know, or is there a corner in the dining room that now we are going to flex out a space that you think is your dining room, should be used for eating or whatever. You just have to get the client to think outside the box and to consider using a space in a new and different way, right? And it doesn't mean that that space is forever going to be the homework center. So, oh, I can't give up my dining room. You know, we have Christmas there every year. Oh, okay, great. But that's one night, right? And you have the rest of the year. And this son or daughter of yours is not going to forever be doing their homework there or need or want to do their homework there. This is for now. And this is a solution to a problem that you're bringing forth to me. So when we look, you know, so when a client says it's the bedroom, it's not really the bedroom. So if you can open up the client's mind to the fact that maybe a different space in the home could and should be flexed out, and then you're finding solutions, right? So I like to say, yes, I'm a professional organizer, but I'm a problem solver, right? I'm a problem solver. That's what organizers do. We solve problems. Yep. So that is a way that I like to work with my families to find solutions. And we'll talk more about uniqueness of Florida homes, but where I live, there are virtually no mudrooms. There's no such thing here. No, and that causes such a chaos in the home. So once you say it out loud to a family, well, you're saying there's all these problems and all of this clutter. That's because you don't have a designated mudroom and a designated place for all the things that would go in a mudroom. So where can we flex a space to serve that purpose? What makes sense? So that's really what I mean about flex space. And that takes creativity. And that is also where my own personal affinity for art and creativity, you know, when people ask me, what's your superpower? You know, which is one of the, questions people ask. I see everything in pictures. I see everything visually. Everything comes to me very much in pictures. That's just how I am. If I see something, I can remember it. I have to see it. You tell me something, I may not, but if I see it, if I can write it, if I can draw it, I draw everything before I can really. So I can visualize a space and I can scan a room and scan a home and say, have you thought about that corner? Or have you thought about that? You know, so that's what flex space really is.
Wow. I love everything that you're telling us. And I think that's something that we as organizers try to do, but have never really been able to articulate or attach a term to it. And you just brought it all home. That's a really cool way of thinking about it. I'm totally going off script here because I want to ask you,
yeah,
when you're trying to get a client to flex on a space, I imagine that you're met in some cases. I mean, I know for myself with some of my clients, they're ready. They're in a place where they're accepting of the transition and they're open and they have a flexible mindset. But then obviously, a lot of people that come to us have hit a point of overwhelm, but that is always stopping them from making a decision. And so they have more of a fixed mindset when it comes to being flexible. So is an issue. So what do you do in those circumstances? Like, what's your, if you had to give like one tool, one idea to help your client see the value in flexing a space and trying something different, what would that be?
I remind them that they called me for a reason. And I remind them that I am nothing more than a fresh set of eyes looking at something they look at every single day. And it is during that in-person consultation that I may just mention it. Not, it's not like a hard, fast, well, we're going to do this, end of story. It's just like, thinking about this. I just throw it out there. It also gives them the opportunity to marinate on the idea, because when I come back for the first session, that's already been kind of out there. And then we can have a deeper discussion. And if there is a spouse or a partner or somebody else who lives with them to discuss it with, I'm giving them that opportunity to have that conversation before I even start with them. So it's one of those things that I build into my in-person part of the process that I think works well. Yes, you may have pushback and people get very nervous when you throw something at them, especially because they're not expecting it. They think you're coming to work on that bedroom, right?
Yeah.
And you walk through the front door and you're like, the first question I always ask is, how do you and your family enter your home? You just let me through the front door. Is this how you come in your home? And that starts the conversation, because I want to get a picture of how they're using the whole home, not just that bedroom. Yes, I'm there to see the bedroom, right? But that's where from the time I step in, that's where the whole conversation starts.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Because often, obviously, certain areas of your home that you need fixed are going to bleed into others because, your laundry room, for instance, may serve as the vestibule between your garage and something else. And you may need to move things from one area to another in order to actually optimize the space that they called you for in the first place.
Right.
These are all the dots that we have to problem solve for that your client doesn't have the bandwidth or the time or the desire to have to think about. So it's why it's such a time-consuming process. So with that being said, you brought up just something that I can't believe I had never even thought of, the fact that, and this leads us into our next point here, talking about organizing for the Florida home specifically. You have to think about the fact, because we're all coming from different places around the world. People that listen to and watch this podcast come from all over the world. And so organizing in, my part of the world versus Australia or Florida or, whatever is vastly different. Like, we have mudrooms here. That's just the way that homes are built, and you don't have them, apparently. I didn't know that.
Yes.
So you're dealing with humidity and hurricanes, literally right now,
hurricanes and humidity and all the fun things, and rain for 5 months straight. Yes. And interestingly enough, no attics and no basements either. So think about what a family would store in an attic, a basement. I mean, that's huge. And the fact that while we do have garages, our garages here mostly are not air conditioned. So there's very limited things you can store in an unair conditioned, very hot and humid climate. No paper, no photos. House paint can never be stored in the exterior. I mean, even in other climates. But so the storage and there's no coat closets.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we have a great
Of course
use
not,
for
because you don't wear coats.
but we still have coats. Like we still travel and we still go places where you need a coat, but we have no coat. Right. So these are the unique things to a Florida home. So I would say to any organizer in any part of the country, what is unique to your area of the country, right? So there's many different things. If you're in Colorado, or if you're in New Hampshire, or if you're in California, there are unique things. There's unique lifestyles. The lifestyle in Florida is a lot of people golf and play tennis. And when people move here from other parts of the country, they have no idea how not only is their space going to change, but their lifestyle. And what are the objects and the things that are going to need to store and to have that are going to be part of that new lifestyle. I work with military families. This is so interesting that all over the country and the world, and they're constantly moving, right? So they get what's called a change of station, and they are shipped out and moved to other places in the country all the time. So maybe they've been in Hawaii for 2 years and now they're going to Minnesota, right? But they don't want to give up all the stuff that they needed in Hawaii, because 2 years after Minnesota, they may then be going to California again, right? So these are just like, I love it. These are the challenges as an organizer, but this is what we need to think about and really talk about, right? So your kid may play baseball and really into baseball, and you have another kid in dance, and what are all the things that come with that? And where's all of that going to live? So in Florida, it's not going to a basement or an attic, and it's not going to a coat closet. So, so we have to be really creative and flex out spaces that typically were intended for other things. And it's funny you mentioned the laundry room. I like to say all roads always lead to the laundry room. Everything leads to the laundry room. So if you can get that laundry room functioning how that family needs, I would say to you, you're 90% there. So in my case, the laundry room needs to also be a mud room, right? Because typically in a Florida home, we're entering from the garage through a laundry room into the house. And that is also where naturally you can create, or even on the outside of the laundry room between the garage, where the garage and the laundry, create a makeshift mudroom area for all the equipment and the sports and the this and the that. I mean, clearly there's not going to be boots and skis and things of that nature, right? But there's going to be it's just different stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. That whole philosophy of flexing out of space, I think it works regardless of where you live. I think it's just interesting from your perspective, thinking about all of the places in the home that don't exist in the Florida home, but exist in several other parts of the country. There's still going to be things that are just non-existent in maybe a smaller home. So if you're trying to work on a space that is in an older home where it's not optimized, rooms are not open concept, and you have to kind of create space where there is none. Flexing is super important. I think that's interesting. I'm going to skip the next question because I feel like we've touched on it already. Okay. And I want to talk about the balance of aesthetic and function. Now, this is it's a very touchy subject for a lot of organizers, as I'm sure you're well aware. A lot of people fall into either one camp or the other. They're all about systemization, aesthetics. People call it vanity displaying and all sorts of various different things, But, at our core, we all love a good system, and we love for things to look and feel beautiful. So I personally love a more balanced approach as well. I feel like there is often a make or break when it comes to implementing the right product. It can really give you the organization that you need in a space if you're willing to. And it's our job to kind of get clients to be able to see that. So when you're organizing a space, how do you balance that desire for the beautiful, aesthetically pleasing space with the need for a functional and practical system?
I love this question. I really do. It starts for me. So before the in-person consultation, I do a phone intake. It starts there. The conversation starts there. So that phone intake where I'm learning about the client and they're asking questions about me and my business, and I'm giving them some history and information. I talk about functional organizing versus aesthetic. I bring it up right away. And I say, if you tell me you want something to look like something you see on TV or in a magazine, then I understand that that's one of your goals. But what I'm hearing you say is that your mornings are chaotic. You're always late. You can't find what you need. So what you're telling me you need a solution to sounds more of a function and functionality issue than an aesthetic. Can we do both? Sure. Of course we can do both, but really my expertise, my training, what I bring to the table is more about the function and solutions and being that problem solver than just making everything pretty. We can make everything pretty, right? Of course we can. And I like pretty. But really and truly, if you can't find your keys in the morning, it doesn't matter how beautiful, your kitchen looks. So I start the conversation at the phone intake. I would say that it is directly in my experience, I have found people's desire and need for aesthetic seems to correlate to their stage of life, believe it or not, and socioeconomic background and lifestyle. So I have a lot of seasonal clients here in South Florida. I also live in an equestrian community. So the equestrian community is very, very different. And it's very much about how things look and style, and their homes, which are only used seasonally, are used more as showcases. So they need a certain aesthetic, right? They have usually the budget to support a higher end product and look. So, okay, fine. But these are conversations. Have I used cereal boxes and shoe boxes to organize in people's homes? Absolutely. Do I all the time when I have clients who say they're really on a budget and I know that it's stretching their dollar to pay for me? Do I look around and say, what do you have here that we can already use? Even if it's not the best product and it is not like exactly fitting and is exactly the thing I would go and buy if I had to go buy it today, I would rather use something they have in hand for so many reasons. I also like the idea of recycling what we have and reusing what we have, right? Because I value that as well. But I think it's a conversation. And I also find that people's stage of life relates to it. I find that people who have children and young children, it's less about the aesthetic because that is their lifestyle, that is their expectation, and that is what's important to them. And those who are at a different stage of life where they entertain more and they may be semi-retired or retired and have a different lifestyle, wants things to look a different way. I don't know if that's helpful, but that's kind of what I'm seeing and feeling and hearing here in the work that I do. So I kind of offer it all, but I like to say that I am much more about the function than the look of something. And I try to be super resourceful especially with my families. Families are, really strapped. And I try to be super resourceful when it comes to that.
Yeah. This is a great piece of the conversation here, you guys, because basically what you, Amy, are laying out here for us are a variety of different ways to attack an organizing scenario. And it just showcases the differences between different types of clients. And it can feel very overwhelming. And like, we're trying to be pizza. We're trying to appeal to everybody because everybody loves pizza. But it is, if you're feeling overwhelmed, I speak to you, audience, speaker fam, if you're feeling overwhelmed by this, Amy's laying out a really great, couple of examples here of what you could draw from where you might want to steer your business, what is important to you. Do you feel that sustainability is more important to you? You want to try the repurposing route. You want to work with busy families on a tight budget. That's, in your heart to help. Or do you want the more lifestyle luxury organizing experience where you get to be creative and play with systems and do interior design and all these different things, Or do you want to be a jack of all trades? I have to say, Amy's a bit of a unicorn here because there are not many organizers that I know that can effectively help everyone. So,
right. And do I refer to designers, interior designers all the time? Yes.
Great.
Do they refer to me? Yes. So I would say, know your limitations. I'm the first to say, I'm not your handy person. I'm not a handy person, right? I'm also not insured to drill into your wall. So I'm not going to do it, but I can give you 10 business cards of 10 people who are wonderful and great and will come and do that. I am not a cleaning person. That's just not what I do and do well, but I can tell you who is. I am not a decorator. Can I make what you have look better? Absolutely. But if you're truly looking to revamp the style of your home, let me bring in 2-3 people that we can work together with. So
absolutely.
It just kind of, yeah. And like you said, you just have to know where you want to put yourself and know what you want to do well. And you have to have the courage this is the hardest thing. It's the first time I had to say no.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I had to say, this is not the best alignment of organizer and client. And let me refer you to another organizer or person I think it might be a better fit.
Right.
And that's where networking, I think, really helps. And having a network of other organizers in your area, I know my limitations. I don't really do garages. Garages here are huge and you need a team of people and it requires 12-foot ladders and moving very heavy things. And it's really beyond my scope. But I know 2 or 3 other professional organizers that what they do is only garages. So I say that to you, and I know it's hard to turn down work, but if it's not really where you align, it's not going to be a good job anyway. You're going to know inside.
Right. Yeah. That's, very well said to kind of wrap up that whole conversation. It's just good for people to hear all these different perspectives because there's just so much, to consider and try to understand about yourself. So in terms of your business, focusing more on that. So just talking a little bit about favorite tools and systems. So for you working, you're not doing garages, you're not doing these like large, giant team environments with organizing. What are some of your favorite organizing tools and systems that you find work across different stages of life and the clients that you like to serve?
Yes. So I have different things I've borrowed from different people and from different trainings that I have that, as professional organizers, there's all these different opportunities with online courses we can take, books we can read, people we can follow on social media. And sometimes I come across things and I'm just like, I love that. I could use that. One of them was it's a decision-making matrix. It's a love it, use it, or toss it kind of matrix. If you can tell me right away that the thing you're holding in your hand that you're not sure about, you say, I love it. I use it every day. Well, that's an easy, we're keeping it, right? I love it, but I never use it. That's a discussion. I use it all the time, but I really don't like it. That's a discussion. I never use it. I never liked it to begin with. Then we toss. Like just having that on an index card that I then leave with the client as a decision-making tool where I'm teaching them the skills so that they can maintain the space, use it in other spaces in their home. I love that as kind of an organizing, sorting, purging tool. I also find that just over and over, like with like, if I can just get the like with, no matter what the space, if we're doing a nightstand or we're doing a whole kitchen, right? Let's just talk like with like and what that means. And not everything has to be so hard. And so when I come across something like that, that's easy for me to then give to the client as a tool. So I find that tools are only good if it's something that a client can wrap their brain around and do on their own. So I would say that decision-making matrix is one that I use all the time, and the like with like. And then I also have come up with a 10 question decluttering. I have it right here. I'll share it with you. So I have this 10 question decluttering that I use. And there's so many like this that you can find, but it's just 10 questions that I use with my clients that help them make decisions. So these are the kinds of like handouts and resources that I have with me in my little clutter caddy that I bring to every job so that I have them on me and I can pull them out and use them where appropriate. So, find something, I guess, that works for you. I mean, I'm always happy to share what I have, but I'm just saying, yeah.
That's a great tip. I've just the fact that you have, and these are all very simple things. It's like,
You guys, it's like a recipe where often simple is best. And the more ingredients we end up throwing in there to increase the complexity of something, sometimes just ends up muddying the whole process. And I think sometimes we're looking for like the newest, most innovative, most, never before seen tool or whatever. But Amy's talking about like an index card, a
Tangible.
list, and exactly, and bringing it to your client and leaving it with them. So it's almost like you're giving them homework, you're giving them a tool, but it's more of like just a philosophy and a way of living your life differently, with not necessarily like a physical, like a hammer, or something like that, but a different type of tangible tool.
Right.
Which is so cool.
And going back to the aesthetic, I even have an index card with the Roy G. Biv on it. Mm-hmm. So if I had a client who wanted their closet rather in rainbow order, right? Like I say, we can do this in rainbow order, but like really and truly, you're the one who's going to have to put everything away in rainbow order, right? So let's talk about this. But if I really have somebody committed to that and that gets them excited and what they want, I actually have a tangible card, and my clients will keep that in their closet, right? And every time they go to put away their laundry, they're referring back to the card because they're forgetting, do pinks go here or do pinks go there? Or grays go to the beginning? So these are just, I find it's as techie as we all get, right? And I'm very big on technology, and organizing people's phones ends up being like the end of every session for me, right?
I love it.
Every session. But I get the techie part, and there are so many great things that we can now do as organizers and different tools we can use, and we can design a space on our phones and send it and I find that these tangible handouts, and also I speak all over my community and I speak virtually to different groups. I speak about time management and different things. They love the handouts. Mm-hmm. They want the handouts. They want the tangible thing. Even if I'm speaking virtually, I then attach the handouts so they can print them wherever they are in the country. I talk about the decision-making matrix and how they can use that to organize any space in their home, their pantry, their kids' rooms, toys. They're just like, oh, that's the greatest thing. I attach the PDF. No skin off my TV. It really elevates what you offer as an organizer when you have your own branded PDF handouts. And you don't have to necessarily come up with everything, a new idea. Just credit the person who did, right? There's no new idea out there, to be honest with you. And we can all call things a different acronym or call things a different thing. But somebody out there has come up with something that's brilliant. Give them the credit and use it.
Yep, absolutely. No need to reinvent the wheel. You're right. There's only so many ways to organize a space. And I love just always having that extra little something to give that client or give the audience if you're doing a speaking engagement or whatever, because it not only is it extremely helpful for them, gives them quick wins, but it also allows them to keep you top of mind. So every time that client goes into their closet, they see that cute little card, they're thinking of Amy, and they're going to call her again, and if you experience a season where you're feeling a little bit slow with business, bringing in new business, that's the perfect person to reach out to because you're always top of mind to them. Okay, pop quiz time. How would you feel 6 months from now if you were sitting in this exact same spot, sipping on your favorite beverage, running your own professional organizing business, and it was booked out with amazing clients that get you excited to get out of bed in the morning? How would that make you feel? But let me guess, there is something holding you back, right? Like that voice of imposter syndrome that whispers, who am I to do this? Well, let me tell you, I have been there, and it is not only possible to overcome those fears, it's essential because your future clients need somebody exactly like you. And remember that I am here to help you with proven tools and strategies to get you where you want to be in this industry if you're willing to follow my lead. My brand new mini course, From Overlooked to Overbooked, is designed to help you overcome your imposter syndrome, turn your website into a client magnet with SEO strategies that actually work, skyrocket your social media presence without that uncomfortable buy my stuff energy, and confidently network like a pro, all while building genuine connections that feel as natural as making friends. It's all self-paced and comes with a workbook full of done-for-you scripts and templates that are proven to generate leads, help you sound confident, and convert all of that into cash in your wallet. And if you want to get paying clients in the door faster, you can also pick up my done-for-you Pro Organizer Forms pack designed specifically for professional organizers with 9 custom templates, including a client agreement, payment authorization form, follow-up email scripts, and so much more. You use a free Canva account to add your business info, branding touches, and then you're basically ready to go for your next project. And as a special gift for being an amazing part of my speaker fam, you're going to get $8 off both the Overbooked course and my Pro Organizer Forms pack using code YTPRO8 at checkout. All that info will be down in the description and the podcast show notes. Lastly, if you're kind of nervous about taking payments for jobs and you know you need to take cards from clients, then I've got a tool that is going to make your day. Project to Payment is my favorite invoicing and customer management tool that's actually easy to use. With just one tool, you get paid faster, create seamless professional customer experiences, and you get access to estimates, invoices, payments. They've got super fast payout for a healthy cash flow, QuickBooks integration, and to top it all off, you get the best and friendliest US-based customer support to walk you through any hiccups or questions. And there's so many more features that they have coming online every single month. You work hard to organize for your clients, so doesn't your business deserve the same? Obviously, the answer is yes. And so Project to Payment is only $20 a month, and they have the most competitive and transparent processing fees in the industry. And trust me, I have tried them all. And if that weren't enough, when you go to projecttopayment.com/ispeakorganized, you're going to get 3 months completely free just to try it out. So you're welcome. That's it. No more reinventing the wheel. These resources are plug and play and allow you to access what works while avoiding the pitfalls as much as possible. Remember that investing in yourself is the first step to showing your clients that they should invest in you. So don't let another moment pass you by to become the business owner that your future clients need. You're only one decision away from becoming booked, busy, and well-equipped to crush it in the professional organizing industry. So with that being said, Amy, what advice do you have for aspiring professional organizers, somebody looking to break into the industry, especially when it comes to building trust with your clients, or just anything that you feel led to share with us? What would it be?
So I have so much to say, but I'll keep it quick.
I know, right?
I would say number one, utilize and take advantage of all of the free resources that are out there. There are so many resources, and there are specifically how to start your organizing business resources. And they're free, and you should take advantage of them and use them. There's free trainings. I would say take every single free training that you possibly can. It will build your confidence, right? So that you don't get imposter syndrome, right? You want to be able to put yourself there, put yourself out there, and feel confident in what your abilities are. Having said that, every single job, you're going to learn something and you're going to build. And you don't know what you don't know until you're in it. And I learned something every single time I am with a client. I learn something new. I go and research new things. And then I would say, find various networks. My greatest source of business and referrals is from a local women's business networking group. It has been so valuable to me, and just even for my own business, just being able to have a group of business women, and there's an accountant in the group, and there's somebody who does social media stuff, and there's somebody who does health insurance for small businesses. These are all people you're going to need for your own business, and then they are going to need you. So I would say find a local networking 100%. So that would really be my advice. The last thing would be to find a mentor. Find a mentor, find a mentor, find a mentor. So.
Yes. I'm a huge proponent of all three of those things. Yes. The networking in particular, it's funny that you mentioned women specific. I think that that's genius because women obviously are very drawn to organizers. And I would say 99% of the clients that we encounter often, come through women first. We do, of course, get male clients, but women often approach us more often than not. And so networking specifically with other women-owned businesses or women in business
business is very integral part. And I also want to tie that to your suggestion earlier for having a network of other professionals in your area.
Yes.
Even if it's oversaturated or you feel that it is, it's important.
Not.
It's not, exactly, because
there's plenty of jobs out there.
Exactly.
And I have to, I mean, I'm a part of my local NAPO chapter, and we all refer to each other every single day, and we talk all the time, and we meet quite often. It's so interesting. I had my Google business and my website analyzed by a professional, and she wanted to know who were my top 3 competitors in the area so she could kind of, give me an analysis. And I'm like, I'm not in competition with them. I'm in competition with myself.
Right.
I want to grow my business. I said, but they're all different. How they organize is different. Who their clientele is different. Their niche is different. So to your point, it's not competition.
No, and all ships rise when you work together, 100%. I'm not a hoarding specialist, and I refer people to the hoarding specialist in my area almost weekly.
Yes.
Because ultimately our goal should be to provide the best tools, service, and the best person, the best fit for that client. So at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. So such fabulous advice, Amy. This has been such a pleasure, and it's going to be such a valuable conversation. I too, not only learn from my clients every single session, but I learn from every single guest. I learn from all of you. So many amazing things, just like little nuggets of wisdom. I just encourage, and I mean, again, like, this is free content right here. This is it, sister. Like, free podcast, YouTube, like, come find me. We're here. I love it. Best advice. So to end on kind of a fun note here, Amy, this is my James Lipton style question that I've started integrating in the last season here. If you could organize, or if your organizing style were a Florida landmark or icon, what would it be and why?
Okay. You ready for this one?
I'm so ready. Hit me with it.
Okay. So the Florida landmark that I would say most aligns with how I approach organizing would be Walt Disney World in Orlando. And here is why. Not only does every age group leave that place happy, because they do. It is happiness central, whether you are 2 or you are 92. I am telling you, right? It is happiness central. And I do believe that when we can organize our lives and declutter our environments, we are happy. But if you notice, or if you've been to Disney World, and most Americans go to Disney World 4 times in their lifetime. So in that way, I'm above average. So I will say this, Disney World is organized by lands. There's Tomorrowland, Adventureland, all the different sections and categories. And each one of them has their own personality, their own aesthetic, their own design, their own signature, their own smell, believe it or not. And so for me, categorizing as an organizer is the key. And I am the queen of sorting and categorizing. And I always ask, where does this make sense? How would you use this thing? Where would you go to find it? Okay. So I believe that in that way, it's much like Disney World, right? So where would you find adventure in Adventureland? Where would you like to go and to feel grounded and peaceful and be a part of just community? That's Main Street. So Disney World to me is the Florida landmark that I say is most like how I like to approach organizing.
Oh man, that is just amazing. I am a Disney fanatic, first of all. We're going to be taking our kids to Disneyland for their first trip, because we live obviously over on the West Coast, but we were in Disney World last year at this, a little bit after this time. We were there in September, and you're right. You just never have a bad time. So basically, if anybody's looking for the organizer that makes your home live and breathe Disney, you need to call Amazing Spaces, because that will make your home the happiest place on earth, right?
And I have the perfect product for organizing those Mickey ears, in case you are wondering.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so curious about that. I would love I want to make sure, of course, that we get all your information down below into the show notes. So if you can tell us where we can reach you, is there anything that you have to offer our audience? You have that really awesome list of 10 questions. I don't know if that's a lead magnet. Tell us all the things.
So I would say for other professional organizers, please find me on LinkedIn. Believe it or not, I get more connection and actually business through LinkedIn than you would think. So I am Amy Bergman, Bergman, and it's Amazing Spaces spelled Amyzing. Instagram and Facebook is where I post reels and posts and tips every single day. So please, please, please follow Amazing Spaces on Instagram and Facebook. I will definitely share the PDF of the decision-making matrix and the 10 decluttering questions. And I have absolutely no problem with that. I also share lots of things on my social media just because I'm a giver, and coming from nonprofit, I learned that the more you just give, it's interesting, the more you find will just come at you, right? Yep. I'm just more about, let me show you value in what I do, and then you will come and find me. So that's where people can find me.
Fabulous. Yeah, I will make sure that all goes in the show notes, you guys. Okay. So be sure to head down to the description of the video and the podcast show notes to find all those amazing resources. I'm definitely going to be checking out that decision-making matrix, and we all will just make a pact that we'll print it out and then give Amy credit, right? Because that's the whole name of the game.
Originator credit. You can see right on there. I give the credit to the originator. Just go right ahead.
There you go. I love it. Oh my goodness. Amy, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to have you today.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome. I really have enjoyed this time.
All right, fam, as always, that's going to wrap it up. And I just want to say thank you for spending a little bit of time with us and checking out this episode. I really hope that you got as much value out of it as I did. I really do mean when I say that I learned so much from all of my guests, and I hope you did too. Amy's definitely no exception. So if you want to connect more with her, make sure that you head down to the description of the video and the podcast show notes. All of her information and her resources are there for you. So definitely take advantage of it, as she pointed out. And don't forget to connect with me for that one-on-one coaching call and take my Overlooked to Overbooked course. Listen, you guys, 40% of people in a survey that I just posted said that they struggle with getting clients, and that is exactly what Overbooked solves for you. So if you have any hesitation, you can always reach out to me to learn a little bit more about it. It's definitely a game changer for those who take it. You can check out my Pro Organizer Forms Pack. Just remember to head to ispeakorganize.com/courses. You can see all of the different course material, one-on-one coaching, and resources that I have available for you to really, truly help you make a go of this thing and do your business right, because I want you to succeed. Your success is my success. As always, make sure that you are in that Facebook group so you can get those questions answered and be part of a thriving and growing community. And beyond that, hopefully at this point you're subscribed. If you're not, hit that subscribe button. And then I just hope you have an awesome day. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care. Bye-bye.